Hello everyone! Thanks for joining me in the Allen Block workshop to learn how to design panel sections in AB walls. What I will walk you through today is the panel section design page covering soil input, best practices for geogrid placement and length, as well as highlighting the external and internal stability safety factors. So let me share my screen to show you how to design panel sections in AB walls. Before we get started on the panel section design, I want to review that the panels are determined in the previous screen. We have a full video on how this is done, but your panel sections are defined based on the wall height, what is above the wall, and soil conditions. Remember, the panel section will represent the entire height of that panel and not just where the line is drawn on the elevation view. When entering the section screen of the software, the first thing the designer will see is the soil information. These parameters should be set based on a geotechnical report or the on-site soils. The default parameters are 30 and 120 for the infill, retained, and foundation soil. The infill soil is the soil in the geogrid zone. The retained soil is the soil behind the infill zone, and the foundation soil is the soil below the retaining wall. The base material is the aggregate base below the blocks, so the 36-degree friction angle will typically not be changed. The foundation cohesion is only referenced in the bearing capacity equations and is often left at 0 to be conservative. As for the bearing factor of safety, industry recommends a minimum of 2, hence the default value. At the bottom of this page, there is a checkbox for using multiple soils, which is covered in another video. Once the soils are set, the designer will click the Apply to All Sections button, then the Hide button, and all the soil information above will be used for all sections. If the default soils are not changed, then a pop-up will appear to confirm they are the correct soils. After the soils are applied, the designer will set section geometry parameters. Starting in the top left corner, the software will select the tallest section of the wall to design first, and provide you with a starting and ending station of the section. Below section number is section height information based on the elevation view previously entered. This provides a numerical representation of the panel section in courses of block, panel height, and setback, so the designer can decide how to best design the section. After reviewing the geometry entered, the designer is then faced with deciding if they want to use geogrid reinforcement in the design for added stability. AB Walls is defaulted to industry best practice recommendations that geogrid be used in the designs when possible. It also recommends that the geogrid be spaced a max of 2 courses and its length be a minimum of 60% of the wall height or 4 feet, whichever is greater of the two. Once the geogrid is set, the designer will click the Calculate button to determine the external safety factors for sliding and overturning on the right, comparing them to industry standards as the default value, and internal stability safety factors in the spreadsheet below. The values in the spreadsheet below are the internal calculations on each of the grid layers for overstress, pull out of block or connection, and pull out of soil. These internal values are all recalculated as soon as a change is made in the sheet below. Watch the grid modification video to learn more about this feature. To see all layers of grid at once, you can use the magnifying glass to expand and minimize the spreadsheet. The designer will also notice the panel section detail that appears in the middle of the screen, as well as an additional pop-up on the left-hand side. That pop-up shows the top of the wall, bottom of the wall, and stationing along the panel as a reference piece. To turn this pop-up off, the designer can click the Yes/No button in the top right corner of the section. For subsequent panel sections, the use of the Match Grids left and right buttons replace the Calculate button to ensure the geogrids will remain on the same elevation throughout the wall design. The panel section screen is where you run the calculations to determine the stability of your wall designs, while providing the designer with a panel section visual to better understand what the design entails and its feasibility. This is why the panel section screen is the most important page of AB Walls. For additional videos, visit us at allenblock.com. Always better, always Allen Block.